House, y'all, once again. Thank you for all the support out there before I get started. And I'm grateful beyond words, y'all, beyond words. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about an incident that happened to me that's quite funny. I just wanted to throw some laughter out there. I know a lot of my episodes are talking about the things that go on in prison and on the dark side mostly. I'm trying to educate, give you the insight, to give you the real about what goes on in here. But this is a true story that I'm about to tell you. It's not funny, but it is funny. I just want you to know that sometimes some of the things that go on in here are comical, and I hope that you take this for what it's worth, and maybe get a laugh out of it. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I'm gonna call this stolen chicken, right? And I call it stolen chicken because one of my friends in here. He stole some chicken from an officer, right? This was years ago. It's like in the early 2000s. I was at this other facility, and every day the officers, they bring in their own food to eat, right? They don't. Most of them back in the day, anyway, they didn't eat the food that we eat, even though they have the opportunity to. They didn't eat what we ate, right? Because the food, again, is, it was better back then, but it's terrible these days. But anyway. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna be fair. I gotta keep it real. But back then, most officers brought in their food, and this particular officer that had our pod, he brought in some of the KFC, that original recipe, right? And like, as soon as he walked in the building, you could smell it. You know how that KFC smells, herbs and spices all over that thing. You know what I'm saying? You could even smell the biscuits. You know what I'm saying? And the mashed potatoes with the gravy, the coleslaw, right? So anyway, this particular officer, he brought in some food, and they had a refrigerator in like the break room that they had in there for the officers. So he put his food in the refrigerator and shut the door. But at this time now, I don't know what's going on, but my partner, he hollers at me later on. He said, "Man, I got us some of that exclusive, right?" And in here, when we talk about that exclusive, we talk about food that we normally don't get, right? And people come up how they come up, you know what I mean? And I never in my wildest thoughts thought that he didn't get this in a way that wasn't, I didn't think he stole the food. Let's just put it, I didn't think he stole the food. I didn't know what was going on. So he left, and he bumped back down on me a few minutes later, and he's got this eight-piece meal, right? I'm talking about breast, thighs, wings, mashed potatoes, like I said, biscuits, coleslaw. He got the whole thing, right? It's still in the sack, at the KFC with the kernel on and all this and that, right? So we sat down in the room, and I'm like, man, I put the violation up to cover up the window, you know what I'm saying? So nobody would see us eating, because I really didn't know what was going on. I really didn't know how he had gotten the food, so I didn't want to mess up a move that he might have, right? So we sitting in there eating and whatnot. About that time, I hear a knock on the door. Boom, boom, boom. So I was like, yeah. And the officer's like, "What you doing in there, Baker?" I said, "Oh, nothing, just chilling, right?" He said, "Man, take the violation down for me. Let me see in there, right?" I said, "All right." I said, "Me and my partner here, we kicking it, right?" He's like, "All right." So I took the violation down. He looks in there, and he sees us, and he looks, and he sees the sack, the KFC sack. And he gives me this funny look. I'm standing right at the door in his face, and he gives this funny look. He's like, "Where you get that at?" I ain't say nothing, you know what I mean? It ain't my business to say where he got it from. I'm not finna say a word, right? So my partner looked at him and said, "Man, ain't nobody tripping with you, man. It's straight, man. Go on and get up off the door, man, so we can go on and eat, right?" And this officer, he was kind of straight. So he was like, "All right, I'm gone." He said, "I see y'all eating good in there." Look, a few minutes later, he goes to the break room. Now I'm noticing how my partner, he said, "Man, hurry up, man. We got to go and eat this up, man." I'm like, "All right, this what's up." So I'm thinking he said that because the officer busted us basically eating free world food, and that he thought he might be going to tell on us or something like that, which I didn't understand that, because this particular officer's always been straight. You know what I'm saying? So I still went on and ate up the food real fast, and I took a couple of pieces because I couldn't eat that fast. I didn't really want to. I wrapped them up, put them in my cooler, you know what I'm saying, up under some ice so I can eat them later on, right? Because we had 4 pieces of piece. So anyway, later on, the officer bumped down. He tells me and my partner to step into his little area, in the office area, right? We step up in there, and I'm like, what's going on, man? He said, where you get that chicken from? I'm like, what are you talking about, man? He said, look, my lunch is missing out of the refrigerator. I bought KFC, 8-piece, this and that. About that time, right, I'm standing there. I didn't turn towards my partner, but my eyeballs rolled towards him, right? Because I'm not trying to give the officer any indication that I'm like, this mother done got me caught up in this mess. So anyway, my partner, he's standing there. He ain't saying a word. He ain't saying a word. Now he look at me again. The officer said, where you get that chicken? He said, I'm not finna play with y'all about my food. You know, stole my food. Somebody's going to the hole. You know what I mean? And I'm like, man, look, write it up. I don't know what else to tell you. Write it up, man. You know what I mean? Ain't no evidence. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm thinking in my mind. I didn't say that part out loud. Ain't no evidence. And then I got to thinking about them 2 pieces of chicken I got in the cooler, right? But there's really no reason for him to think that we kept anything. You know what I'm saying? We got rid of the boxes. All the stuff was gone. But they'll still take his word that we ate up his food. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm thinking about my fingers got grease on them. Did I wash them good enough? And all this and that, right? How are they going to put the puzzle together and say that we got it? Because back then, they didn't have cameras in the building. So it's really our word against his. But again, he's an officer. They're going to believe him. You know what I'm saying? So he tells us to get out. I'm talking about get the fuck out of my office. He talking crazy to us. You know what I mean? We leave out of there, man. I go back to the room. I'm telling him, my partner said, come here, man. What's going on, man? Where'd you get that chicken at? And before he even said anything, I knew he had stolen it at that point. I knew he had stolen. This man got an 8-piece. Dude had bought in an 8-piece. He stole the man's stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, why didn't you tell me so I could have made up my own mind whether I wanted to engage in that or not, right? He like, man, ain't nobody tripping, man. He ain't talking about nothing that's gone now. What he gonna do? I'm like, man, I'm not trying to go to the hole. I got business to take care of this weekend, right? So anyway, long story short, right? I tell my partner, I said, look, man, I'm finna go holler at dude and see if I could pay him for this chicken. You know what I'm saying? Because we had green money back in the day, right? That we had, you know, from hustling or whatever the case may be. And he was like, shh, I ain't giving him nothing. I said, whatever I give him, you gonna give me half for it back. I'm not even finna debate that with you, right? So I went into the office, man. I said, man, let me holler at you real quick. He was like, what's up, Baker? He's fireball hot. I'm talking about hot. His whole face done turned red. You know, and he a big dude too, right? You know, he loves to eat. I know he's mad about that chicken because he can't go home and get nothing. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if he can have some of that brain some, but that was it for him. I said, look, man, I ain't finna get into the details of what just happened to you, man. You know, I wasn't laughing at him. I'm laughing now because I'm imagining his face. He's looking at me like, if I could kill your black ass right now, I would over this chicken. That's how he's looking at me, right? So anyway, I asked him, I said, look, man, I hate that. Can I pay for it? And then, you know, you can buy you some more. He said, what am I gonna eat tonight? I said, man, I don't know what to tell you on that, man. I said, look, all I'm trying to do is straighten what happened, man. You know what I'm saying? Without it going to the captain. And he's like, yeah, pay me for it. You know, and I think he told me to give him like $10 or whatever. You know, I said, I'll be back. I come back, I give him a 20. You know what I'm saying? Give him a $20. And he's still mad. He took it, you know, and he said, we straight now. He said, but I'm going to get your partner. He said, because I know he the one went in there. I said, I ain't got nothing to do. As long as you don't do nothing to me, we good. You know what I'm saying? I done gave him that money. That's that on that, right? So, you know, I go back and tell my partner, I said, he gunning for you. He going to get you. I gave him 20, you owe me 10. You know what I'm saying? So he paid me a little 10. We straight, squared that up. And sure enough, he ended up catching him doing something again, trying to steal some more food up out of there. And they wrote him up for that and put him in the hole. And then they beat him when they got him in the back. And I know it was about that chicken. But I just thought I would tell you that story, man. To me, it was funny. I don't know if it'll be funny to you, but that's some of the stuff that happens in here, man, where, you know, when something exclusive comes around, you never know, you know, who's watching and who might be trying to get some of it. Most of the time, you know, you don't have to steal it, but my partner thought that was an opportunity for him to steal somebody's food, and he did, and I ate it, and them 2 pieces that I put in that cooler, I ate them later on too, right? And it was good to me. But anyway, I'm just going to close this out. That's just something I wanted to share with y'all, something a little funny, other than the other stories that I try to tell you, you know, that go on in here, right? But this has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I said peace, y'all.